back to Girl at the Con. Thank you so much for joining me again. And today I'm going to be talking about Fangaea, which I hope you can see in my shirt. Finally managed to lay my hands on a piece of merch from Silk Road Productions. Every time I go, they don't have my size or they're sold out or something. So I'm very happy to finally get one of these shirts. All right, so let's talk about panels. I'm trying to go to more panels. I don't typically go to a lot of panels, but I really have a good time with some of the different panels. And I don't mean different in like a bad way. I just mean like if I was to go to like LA Comic Con or even San Diego Comic Con or any of the big stuff, I just would not see the same sort of panels that you see at some of the smaller conventions. So one of the ones that I went to that I had a lot of fun with was a Sumo panel. Apparently there is a local Sumo club in San Diego. It's got a youth club and it's got like an adult club, and they teach sumo wrestling, which is, it's not just about like knocking your opponent down and stuff like that. It's about balance, and there's a lot that goes into it. I enjoy watching sumo when it's on TV, so I knew that I would enjoy this panel, and I really did. One of the things that I found really interesting was at the end, one of the people that was demonstrating got up and he talked about Japanese anime that had sumo in it, which is kind of interesting. If you've ever played Street Fighter, Honda is one of the, he's got a weird attack that I don't think is sumo, but he's designed after a sumo wrestler. And they played this one really weird one, which is like fruit sumo or something. It was goofy. But I will leave all of their information below. And at the end, at the very, very end, they invited people to come up and get wrapped up in a mawashi. And I got myself done up in a very pretty purplish mawashi, which the head of the group was pulled out special for me to do. And I was just very excited. You can see that here. It really kind of made my day. I really enjoyed that. I really love sumo wrestling, and I have for years. So this was a real kind of treat for me. Anytime that there's a chance to go see sumo live or somebody talk about it, I'm going to be there for it. So it was a really, really good time. I enjoyed panels. I did a panel that was on gender bending and queer stuff in cosplay. I know I could be saying that so much better. But we basically talk about drag and gender bending and stuff like that in cosplay. I do a lot of gender bending type stuff when I cosplay because I typically do like a Hawkeye, but I'm doing Hawkeye as a guy and I'm a girl, so it's kind of gender bending. It is a spectrum. I'm just going to say that. My friend Jimmy was there, and he definitely does drag as in cosplay, which is much more over the top than like regular cosplay. They're going to have exaggerated makeup, exaggerated hair, stuff like that. He does a great stuff. If you're in San Diego, look for him because his stuff is just really amazing. I also took a look for gaming this year. On day one, I ended up spending a great deal of time at Artemis. It's a staple for a very long time at a lot of smaller conventions, and it requires several, it's kind of like a LAN party if people remember LAN parties, but you can also play it online now, but you can set it up so you have a bunch of computers and it is a starship bridge, a la like Star Trek. Mostly like Star Trek, that's really what it's based off of. And each position, you have a captain's position, and you have helm and navigation and weapons and communication and life support, but life support isn't just life support, I think it's like engineering or something, but it's really cool. And everybody who plays has a role, and you get assigned a different task. And sometimes your task is go off and fight these bad guys, and sometimes your task is go over here and help these people and avoid combat while doing it or something like that. So I had a big tour of it, of which will have to be its own separate video, but just really briefly you can see some of the stuff here. There was a little boy there who had told his parents he wanted to go to a convention for his birthday, and so they were there as a family for his birthday. He and his brother were on helm and weapons, which led for some really, really funny interactions. They would it'd be like, hey, there's a bad guy over here. Great. The little boy on helm would have him there like he was just plowing through space. He had to be there 5 seconds ago. And then once there, his brother just blew everybody out of the water. It was great and so much fun to watch. The kids had such a great time that the dad told me while they were there that they were going to get this at home. They had several computers at home. They could link this all up, and the mom was interested. And it was great. I also ran into them later in the convention, and the guy was like, yeah, I've already been back there 3 times. Like, we have got to get this at home because my sons are just absolutely enamored with it. So that makes me feel really hopeful that the older generation can bring stuff through to the newer generation, really show just how much fun some stuff is. Artemis is old. It's been around I feel like it's been around forever, but they update it on a regular basis, and you can find it on Steam, and I'll have some information in the doobly-doo below that you can take a look. I also stepped in on the end of what appeared to be Pathfinder, but it wasn't Pathfinder, it was something else, and it was a fun game. It was a tabletop RPG, a la Pathfinder or D&D, but it had a different game mechanic, and there are a lot of, I'm not going to call them D&D clones, but they're like D&D, but they usually have some slightly different mechanic or something like that. So there are a lot of tabletop games out there that have interesting different mechanics. Every convention usually has some sort of secondary entertainment. They'll have panels, they'll have games, they'll have places where you can buy stuff in artist alleys, and then they'll have like entertainments, especially the smaller conventions. Fangaea has a room that is always the entertainment room, which makes sense because it's slightly off to the side, and it doesn't have the best acoustics, but it's off away so that it doesn't disturb everything else. I kind of wish it did have better acoustics or something, because they had a band in there, and the band sounded okay, but it also sounded too loud. Like, there was a lot of reverb. But, you know, it's a band in a room that's not technically meant for a band. It's meant for a conference or a meeting of some sort. But it was pretty good. So I went to that. I went to Costume Contest, which the worst thing I'm going to say about this Costume Contest was there was a backlight on it, which made it incredibly hard to shoot, and you'll see all the footage you're going to be seeing of it is not great because of that backlight. But a lot of the costumes were pretty good. I have to say, Altereaa cosplay, they blew them out of the water. Like, everything was like, okay, yeah, that's pretty good. There were some people who were dressed up in or military gear that a la like modern warfare or something. I don't particularly care for that because I feel a little bit like it's cheating because you can just go down to the army surplus and buy it all and then just do whatever modification to make it look like the character, but that's neither here nor there. Altereaa came out, and just the second she walked into the room, you knew she was going to win because she just blew everybody out of the water. Just absolutely amazing, amazing costume. And I've seen her at other stuff. I'm an online friend of hers or an online stalker of hers, depending on how you want to look at it. And all of her costumes are just really top notch. I really hope that she ends up going to Worlds or to something like that in the future, because she is an amazing, amazing skilled artisan, and I wish her the absolute best. I will be linking all of her information below so that you can go and check her out. But this is a picture that she sent me of her and her trophy. And like I said, I'm so proud of her, and this costume was just mind-blowing, amazingly good. So, and like I said, she blew everybody else out of the water. It was pretty awesome. So, and then after that was karaoke, of which I do not ever sing because somebody once told me that I don't sing well, so I don't sing in public at all. But it was fun, and there were a lot of really amazing, amazing people. There was one guy that stood up, and he got a song off YouTube, and he knew all the words. He didn't even look at the screen. He just knew all the words, knew where everything went, and just sung it real nice. And then the other one was another cosplayer who was there to judge. She was like a guest of honor cosplayer, and then she was also there to judge the cosplay competition. And she sang like she was Pat Benatar. It was awesome. I would not have wanted to follow either of them onto stage at all. At all. But it was a lot of fun, and I probably would have stayed longer, but I was getting tired. It was getting late. My friend who was driving me home was also kind of like, I want to go home now, and I was like, legit, let's go. So, but it was a good time. It was a good time. So I'll definitely do that at the next time that they have karaoke. The other thing that all conventions have, of course, is dealer rooms and artist alleys and things like that. Not too much to say here. There wasn't anything that really like stood out in my mind. I did see the wonderful lady who I've got my bird sushi from. It's a little lovebird wrapped in a sushi in a sushi roll, and super cute. Loved that. Hit by some people that I knew. Ran in to a friend of mine who I haven't seen in a while, but I knew she was going to be vending there, Risingmo0n, and I love her stuff. And she made, it's coming out soon, I don't think it's out yet, but one of the pins that she's going to be selling soon is a Scottish fold based off my Scottish fold Chiquita. Chiquita died several years ago. She was quite old, but she was a Scottish fold, and that is what the pin is based off of. So I feel very honored that she is remembering my dear girl. So, and I bought some stuff from her, including this Genshin Impact. It can be a keychain or it can be a necklace. I'm not sponsored by her, obviously, but I really liked it I just liked it. I don't play Genshin Impact or anything, but I thought it was pretty and would make a nice necklace, so I got that. And I got a keychain because I thought that one was pretty as well. But, so, yeah, I didn't buy a whole lot. There was somebody selling shirts, like button-up shirts that I liked. Somebody had a Togepi one. There was a woman selling roll-on essential oils that did different things. So I got one that goes under the eye, and I got some stress reliever ones because I like those, and so I got those. Other than that, you know, you have your standard, like, people selling clothing, you have people selling anime statues. There was somebody who was doing painting of miniatures, and you could buy a painted miniature, and she was painting there, which I thought was pretty cool. I prefer to paint my own minis, but, you know, it's whatever. But, and then there was some activity out at the pool, not a whole lot, but all in all, it's a great show. Pro tip, if you do not like crowds, smaller conventions are the way to go. Get online, start searching generic terms on Google or whatever, you know, search Sci-Fi Con, search whatever, and tell the search that you want it to be local or wherever you want it to be. And I guarantee that you will find something. You know, you may have just missed it and you may have to schedule for next year or whatever, but usually in finding that, you will find other things. I've been going to Silk Road production conventions for a while now, but Risingmo0n had only just now discovered them. So some of it is word of mouth and some of it is Googling. So, you know, ask a friend. Finding small conventions, I think, is so important. Not only are you supporting local, and small companies, but you can also usually find some really fun, low-key stuff to do. Sometimes there's going to be those stinkers. Sometimes there's going to be that stuff that's really bad. But the vast majority of stuff, you are going to be able to find something that's really fun. Maybe you find Artemis. Maybe you find karaoke, or the costume contest, or maybe you even just find a shop like Risingmo0n and you're like, oh my god, this is the person I want to buy from forever because they make all the stuff that I want. Or, you know, whatever. Maybe you find a friend. You know, it's always fun. I always get to go and see my friends, and I get to meet all of these people. I just have a blast doing it. And I really enjoy meeting people like the father and his wife and his two sons who were there because one son just wanted to go to a convention for his birthday. And those two boys were having the best time. It warms my dark little heart to watch them do that. Thank you so much for joining me and watching as I go through Fangaea 2025. And I hope that I will see you in the next one.